not quite as short as Amanda, so I'm As I prepared for this, I couldn't help but love you too, Michael. I couldn't help but take a walk down memory lane, and I wanted to take you with me on that journey if you would humor me. I'm getting a little sappy here, so get groans out early and pretend I'm not crying if I start. I remember the first time that I visited Baylor before I knew where I wanted to go to school. I was not a put-together senior, as you might say. I spent about 3 minutes on campus, overwhelmed by the amount of green-shirted, smiling people who, for some reason, wanted me to be their friend, before I felt something click. Someone told me that this was the place to be. At the time, I assumed it was because of this program called Great Text. I mean, come on. God had to have created that program specifically for me. How could something so amazing, so incredible, so formational spring up without some kind of divine influence? And I'm definitely not biased in any way. But I digress. I remember my first day at Baylor. I sat out on the porch and watched the sun light up the dome of Pat Neff. I wore my red Alexander t-shirt and wondered how I was ever going to fit in with this community. Would they like me? Was I smart enough? Did I look too much like a dork with my teal-colored braces? I made some bold decisions. Had I made the right choice? I remember that night when a strange upperclassman named Connor Chambers, who was way too chipper, handed me a pool stick and proceeded to give me a 4-hour discussion on how quantum physics and miracles in the Bible might be interconnected. I say give me a discussion because I don't think I really participated all that time. I remember being rescued from that conversation by another freshman named David Gropper, who heard that I liked to play chess. There was my first Swedish Pagans, with Nate Beck, Sam Schoon, Austin Hubbard, and William Stover, all very interesting people. It was a little terrifying. My first toasties, and the realization that I might have to learn how to play Smash or Mario Kart if I ever wanted to make friends here. The clearest thing that I remember from that day, though, was the text that I sent to my parents. A text that simply read, "Mom, this place is so cool. I just played chess and we talked about books. I had something called a toastie, which really just fancy grilled cheese, but I won't read the whole paragraph." But the short version is this: I belong here. If you went to the HRC retreat this past fall, you may have heard me preach about something called authenticity. I wish I could tell you that I had practiced my own advice as a freshman, but frankly, I was a special kind of stupid at 19. The truth is, I was skilled at putting on masks at that time in my life. I stuffed all the pain and loneliness deep down and wore a smile as often as I could manage. And for a while, that worked. I made friends. I called Amanda Cat, and then Sandy on the first time I met her. She did not make a great first impression. I realized I loved to play pool. I loved humans versus zombies. It was a good year. Kind of. But all was going reasonably well until sophomore year. Sucker punched me in the stomach and skipped away cackling like Michelle in 5th grade. We won't go into that stuff. All jokes aside, that year was filled with more pain than I ever thought that I could bear. I remember breaking down in the senior common room when Dr. Tran told us that David had passed in an accident. Barely able to choke out the words to the hymns the other seals began to sing. My hands strangling a box of tissues while I tried to learn how to breathe again. I remember not being able to leave my room. because his door was right across from mine. And I couldn't bear to see the door deck. I didn't know if I was supposed to take it down, but I thought if someone asked me to, I might quit being a CO. I remember the excruciating physical pain I felt when my back began to get worse. I remember finding hidden corners out of the way to sit and crying because the pain was too much to make it up the stairs. I remember waking up one morning and collapsing to the ground because my legs just wouldn't work. I remember the overwhelming fear and anger coalescing into angry shouting matches I had with God. They were always fun times. I remember the masks that I had so carefully put on crumble under the weight of everything that hit me that year. I have never in my life been so grateful to be broken. Some people like to say that God will never give you more than you can handle. I think the only reason I am who I am now is because he gave me far too much to ever handle on my own. That year I was too exhausted to live a lie. My masks were shattered, but into those cracks God began to shine. As I began to open myself to the people around me, I began to experience deeper joy in the midst of overwhelming sorrow. I found everlasting peace during insurmountable noise and chaos. I began to learn that what it means to live in a community is not merely to live in proximity to others. I remember Nate Beck looping his arm underneath mine when I couldn't walk any farther and my legs gave out beneath me. I remember sitting with him outside Heritage, eating ice cream while I tried to understand the feelings of betrayal and anger after a breakup. I remember sharing my story with him and learning more about his. I remember being challenged to follow Christ unequivocally and held accountable to what is right and wrong. I remember sharing the joy of my healing with him after surgery helped me walk again. I remember the tears I shed when he graduated, and I realized I wouldn't have my brother here. I remember Caleb Lewis. I decided to show up today. I showed up at my door and held me while I tried to grieve and process through sorrow I was feeling. I remember the joy of playing epic duels with him and finding a kindred spirit who loved games as much as I did. I remember sitting on his couch and pouring out all the things I had stuffed down all my life. I remember his wisdom, his compassion, the example he set of mercy and grace. I remember thinking that if I could become half the man he was with a quarter of the faith. I would consider college to be a tremendous success. I will remember Alex Christ, who has let me sit and cry in his office more often than I care to admit, who held me when my uncle committed suicide, who taught me to embrace vulnerability and not be too proud to seek help, who guarded my health and well-being with an unrelenting ferocity. I remember learning what it means to grow as a leader and as a man from watching his example. I will remember Jeffrey, Tyler, Olivia, Spencer, Sam, Owen, all the different Alexes. Aiden, you know who you are, and I'm kidding. Aiden, Trey, Payson, Michael. All the residents who allow me the privilege to be their community leader and their friend. I will remember Courtney DePalma, who, believe it or not, was the person who convinced me to apply to the HRC. I don't know if you remember that, Courtney, but I lost my phone in the HRC and you helped me find it. And then proceeded to answer my dad's 1,000 questions about the community. I will remember bonding with Caitlin over our shared love of fairy tales and D&D. I will remember Chelsea, Connor, Nate, Daniel, Clara, Amber, Hannah, Toby, Natalie, Dylan, Jess, Sarah, Janae, Marin, Andrew, and Joao for standing beside me as a staff throughout my time as a CO. I used to think that God called me to Baylor so that I could be a great text major. After 4 years, I am convinced that God brought me to be an HRCer. Look to your right, your left. The people next to you don't have to just be the folks that live next door, or the ones you get lunch with because they have the same break as you. You have a family around you waiting and willing to pull you into the fold. If you take one thing away from this very sappy and emotional speech, it's this. Take that chance. Live authentically. I promise that it will change your life. To all the people that I've mentioned and all the people I couldn't fit into my time limit, thank you. Thank you for the late night risk games. Thank you for humoring me with pool. Thank you for the long talks. Thank you for the joys, sorrows, the pain, and especially the laughter. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your family. During my time here at Baylor, you will always be my family, and this will always be a home.